Hello.
Hello.
Last week, the BBC uploaded a clip from their archives, a 1987 clip about Goths in the UK. Today, we are going to be reacting to that clip.
Also, mini announcement, we are now on TikTok. Feel free to go and follow us over there.
Yes, we have finally bowed to the societal pressure and made a TikTok. So please, feel free to follow us there if you want to see just our absolute worst content. Like this. Actually really good ice cream. What the hell? Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into the video.
Strange mutations from the tomb of punk rock. The Gothics are coming out of the undergrowth.
Can we start all our videos like that from now on, please?
Yeah, this should be our new intro.
If we lived near a graveyard, we would do that.
That's a great intro. It's very like Dawn of the Dead inspired, you can tell. But it's actually a great intro. I'm surprised they put this much effort in. Also, did you notice they refer to them as the Gothics?
No.
Why did that fade away? That's cooler than the Goths.
Maybe it was just this one time.
The Gothics. Hey, there's a bunch of Gothics over there instead of there's a bunch of Goths.
I'm gonna say it here and now, I wouldn't like that because sometimes people like to give out about people wearing, they're like, oh, you're not goth, but you dress in gothic style. For me, that's a big thing. Like sometimes if people are weird about it, I will always say gothic style, you know, they can dress in gothic style, but they don't say like, oh, I'm a goth because you don't listen to the music, but you can say I'm gothic.
Transylvania has been transported.
Dracula was very elegant, very aquiline.
There's a special effects budget on this thing. There's an actual, well, I mean, realistically, they had a tripod and they just paused.
Someone just knew how to edit.
Just on there, yeah. Someone knew how to edit. But this is impressive. I'm actually surprised at the effort that went into this.
We're getting inspiration.
Yeah, we're getting inspiration. Watch.
Where did Conor go?
I have arrived.
Welcome to the House of Shadows.
This is like a proto version of what we do in the shadows, but it's goths instead of vampires.
I think people are going to get confused seeing this though.
I'm actually very, very impressed. But it does have the whole we are vampires vibe rather than just here are people who dress a certain way and like a type of music.
Because, like, you know, there's vampire goths, but
we'll see when they get into it.
The home of the true Gothic is no place for the faint-hearted. In a shrine to the worst excesses of Bram Stoker and Edgar Allan Poe, the Goths congregate to hear from the man they call the Screaming Master. Do you describe yourself as a Gothic?
No, I describe myself as a vampire.
Okay.
we never seen this before. We had no idea what we were getting into.
We did the vampire video. We've already had the Goths that think they're vampires.
I think this is a mix though, because you can tell by looking at them, you can tell the vampires and you can tell the Goths and then the vampire Goths. So.
These are vampire Goths as opposed to people that think they're vampires.
There seems to be a mix sitting around though, because you can tell like some of them where they look just strictly Goth and then some are like full vampires.
Also, do you think this is actually like where they hang out, or do you think the BBC rented this for them? Because if this is actually where if this is actually where they hang out, then I'm jealous. Like, I wish we had something this interesting to do with our friends.
What exactly does that mean?
Well, a vampire. Here, you see a vampire. This is a vampire.
The punk people of the sort of late 70s have been looking for something with a bit more style, a little bit more finesse, something with less of an aggressive edge, more of a creative edge, I think.
Gothics work hard at their style. In a cave of treasures buried off Kensington High Street, Dave Vanian, lead singer with The Damned, has his own dark corner.
No way!
His own dark corner! It's like Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory. This is my dark corner.
This is Dave Vanian's dark corner. No way, that's cool. I didn't know that the Damned are going to be in this.
So this is obviously real. They probably did hang out.
They did their research at least. But yeah, that's cool that Dave Vanian is in this.
And in the set that he created, the bride of this latter-day Dr. Frankenstein dresses a stream of Gothic maidens. It seems the market for the classic wicked wardrobe is growing.
I just hope it makes people feel good when they're wearing the dresses. Makes them feel very feminine. Can you understand that for some people, for outsiders, the whole thing can appear a little bit sinister? Its links with the occult, with black magic.
I suppose, but you know, it's those kind of things where you see things on the surface, all these skulls or whatever, and people get a little perturbed by it. Although I think in England, they tend to be quite free-thinking. People have gotten used to it now.
What England was this?
Well, they're very, like, fashion forward and stuff like that. Like, they're always, like, ahead of us. Like, when we go to London, we see people wearing the best of everything. And then we're just like, oh, everyone here dresses so cool and we don't.
You would for sure still get crap if you walked around London looking like us.
We have.
Yeah.
Camden Bridge.
Yeah.
Ebos.
You'd still get it. So that's crazy that he's saying this in 1987. So unless we just went backwards out of nowhere, that's kind of crazy. Also, I never knew Dave Vanian had like a clothes shop thing.
I never knew.
Full disclosure, I'm not a massive The Damned fan. I mean, Eloise absolutely bangs, of course, 100%, but I never really got too into them.
Yeah, same.
Dave Vanian had a look, though. That man did have a look.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
That it's much more of a stylish thing rather than people practicing black magic in their bedrooms all over the world.
Like most of London's cult creations, music is at the centre of Gothic style. The Screaming Master's audience now may be restricted to other Goth-like types, but the man from the shadows has designs on the bright lights.
It's got something different about it than ordinary music, and it's more meaningful.
Our makeup's our own trademark and our hair is our own look. Whereas the music we like, I mean, some of us might like Scream Marionettes, others might like other mainstream Gothic groups, but so we all got the same thing in common, as we don't like to sort of fit in with the mainstream Aha, Duran Duran.
Gothic hasn't really ever broken through to the music scene in a big way. It never really has. And I think as far as over the last 40 years, I think it's the first thing that really is going to hit the music scene, the big music scene, as a new thing. Now I really think it's going to happen.
Are we dumb? Do we not know something? Is this guy the Screaming Master? Is this a band we don't know about? Because I was going to be like, oh, I wonder what happened with his band. I wonder if they ever like blew up or anything. And now I'm like, oh, is this? Do we not know? Is this something we should know?
I feel bad because he was like, oh, you know, I think that this will be the next thing and it will happen. I don't think it ever really happened.
Well, I mean, The Cure went pretty massive in the mainstream, but only because I guess they went in a more like poppy direction.
When did they start to get big though? I wonder, was it around this time?
Around this time, yeah, the late 80s.
So I guess he was Conor, right, in a way. Say they're mainstream, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think goth music like post-punk and gothic rock and stuff never went in the mainstream the same way that like rock music did, and then obviously like nowadays you have like pop punk did. There's lots of like mainstream pop songs now that are like influenced by like pop punk and stuff.
Yeah.
That sound like bands that we were listening to when we were really young, like that were like underground bands. It didn't get the massive explosion that other genres would have.
But despite the conviction of those Goths who are sure their day is coming, there are others who believe that, like true vampires, with too much exposure, this weird cult may just simply fade away.
I mean, on the other hand, though, it's pretty cool that it still exists. Like, imagine being part of that back then, and it's this new thing that's coming up, and it's like a new fashion style and a new music and like a new look, like completely new, and being like, oh, it might, you know, like just teeter off and like disappear into like nothing. If it gets like too much exposure, it'll just be like a fad and then never come back up. And I think it spawned this like global subculture that to this day, 35 years later, is still a massive thing. Like we were just at Marilona, like that's 30,000 people go to Marilona like every year. Wave Gothic Treffin, you have like 35,000 people in attendance, and then you've still got like Whitby Goth Weekend and stuff. Like, it's crazy to think that nowadays, 35 years later, this thing that they were doing like in the underground back then has blown up so much. And that's like in the real world, not just like on social media or like on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and stuff. These are like real things that are in the real world that are still happening, that are still massively popular. There's still new goth bands that pop up. There's still the bands from then that are around that still pull massive audiences to this day. That must have been like an absolutely insane thing to witness. Like, you'd be like, I grew up with this thing and now it's massive still like 30 years later.
Yeah, I feel like the good thing is as well is that, you know, we haven't changed a lot from then. Like, we haven't changed the style or the music. Like, we still listen to those bands and yeah, some new ones. We haven't changed the fashion style very much. And if you do have your own style, like, for example, this, like, you know, you still have the staple pieces that they had then, like fishnets, kind of the same makeup, same hair and everything, like you were saying. I think that's really cool for people that grew up with that to see that it hasn't changed and that there's just a few little changes that people will make kind of to make it their own or kind of make it more into whatever fashion it is these days, but not to the point of, for example, alternative fashion, which my friend was saying to me the other day. If you see a girl wearing like kind of alternative fashion, how do you know if she's actually into like the music or if she's just wearing it for the fashion? Now that hasn't really happened with goth fashion, I don't think. Like if you see a girl that looks really gothic, she's probably gonna listen to alternative music, goth music or something like that. So I feel like the way he was saying he thought it was gonna go mainstream, if it had have went mainstream, then I think you kind of would be confused and you'd be walking down the street and it was the fashion alone, not even the music. You would just be like, don't know if that's a goth girl or that's just somebody that's wearing goth style, goth makeup, and kind of like things like that. For example, the whole like Stranger Things introducing people to Iron Maiden and stuff. So now if you're walking down the road and you see someone dressed like Eddie, you're like, okay, cool. Are they into the music? Are they into the fashion? Is that just because of Stranger Things? So far, people haven't gone too far into doing that.
Yeah, I think I said this in a video before. I was like, it must be weird, like growing up now in the TikTok age, where I'm the fast fashion age, where everything is so accessible, because you like navigating that world as a young person growing up and trying to make friends. It used to be that if we saw someone wearing like Docs and like edgy jeans with chains on them and like maybe a band shirt or like an oversized hoodie or something, you could be like, oh, that person and I will have things in common. Like I'll be able to speak to them and we'll probably listen to some of the same bands and like some of the same stuff. But nowadays that's like almost sort of consolidated with mainstream contemporary fashion because it's so easily accessible and because it's like there's TikToks, people see people and go, oh, they look cool, I want to dress like them. And then you speak to that person and they're actually like, no, I don't listen to any of this stuff. Yeah. I just think the fashion is cool. But I agree that like goth is such a striking, effort-filled look. To go that deep into like looking and dressing and acting like this, you would have had to have fallen into the rabbit hole of the actual subculture first and listen to the band. Like no one just sees someone who looks like this and goes, that's cool, I'm gonna look like that, but not listen to any of the music or do anything. I do think it's happening. I disagree with you that it hasn't happened. I do think it's
I think it's happening, but not to such a huge wide extent as
not to the same degree at all, but I do think it's starting to happen now. Just like I said, with the TikTok fast fashion world we live in now, it is beginning to kind of bleed over the lines a little bit, but generally like 99.9% of the time, if we saw someone in like full trad goth look, you know that person is going to be into the subculture. So yeah, it is. I think it's a good thing that it hasn't crossed lines yet to become just like a fashion style.
Yeah, like they were saying, they were like, you know, we can come to this club and hang around with like-minded people that want to just be different and out of the normal. And then if that had have happened, how would they feel? Like you'd feel like everybody else. It was that huge. Like everybody be listening to those bands, everyone would dress the same, and I don't think they would have been happy about it.
So that was an interesting video. It was pretty short and it was just, I'm not sure what the purpose of it was other than just like a little expose on something that was happening at the time. Like it didn't delve too deep into any context about the subculture really. It mentioned that it came from punk, it showed off some of the fashion style. It was cool, it was really well done, but it didn't go as in-depth as like the 80s goth video we reacted to, where they like went out onto the street in Ireland talking to people about the fashion and why they dressed like this and what they listened to, etc. But it was still good. I enjoyed it.
It's kind of weird though, because they focus so much on like the creepy like graveyards and vampires and everything like that, and I think if people were watching this, like the guy was saying, at first you see that and straight away you think, oh, they're into like this or that. It's good that he said that though. He did explain that at least in the video, so that's really good that he said that, because watching this alone without them putting their own words into it, you probably would see it and be like, they just hang around at graveyards and dress like vampires.
Really well edited and shot, and it was pretty interesting to take a look back and see the style that still persisted to this day. We're going to do something we haven't done before in these type of videos. We're going to highlight some of the comments in the video that either made us laugh or made us think. So let's check out the comment section of this video. One of the top comments is, all Goths never die, they just look like they have. Someone said it's almost faded away in the end, but not quite, as in some parts of the world the gothic subculture is still a thing. Germany, for example. Germany holding strong for the goth subculture. Can't thank Germany enough for what it's done. They have the biggest goth festivals in the world.
Festivals, not just one.
Not just one, like several of them. Enjoyed this, even if there was a bit too much of the kind of pretentious knobbery that got Goth a bad name. Yeah, I do, like you were saying, I do think they played up like the theatrics of it a bit too much, more than like focus on the actual subculture.
But at the same time, we're into that.
Yeah, at the same time, it was funny and it was well shot and it was interesting.
Sorry, but I'm afraid your graveyard has a serious goth infestation.
Call the Goth Busters to get rid of your goth infestation.
I wish you could still go to the graveyard and just be like, there'll be a bunch of goths there I can hang out with.
Someone said, goth doesn't exist anymore unless you count Dracula.
Thanks so much for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below and let us know what you thought about it.
So again, we really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought. And until next time, see you in your nightmares.